Hey Michael, yeah, I'm okay. Just was trying to get a plug-in to work in Muse Score for trumpet fingerings. It was a bit frustrating. I gave up on it in the end. I know what I need to do. Yeah, and then I was playing the trumpet and it's giving me a stiff neck. Trying to play the trumpet and look at the screen and I've been trying to get my playing back in form for a while now, because I neglected the instrument and of the various instruments that exist. The trumpet is not one that you can neglect, because it's a struggle to just get notes, and then if you neglect it, then it's not like you very rapidly just can't play it anymore. But I'm getting there. I haven't put it away. I'm going to put it away now. I've been working on trying to put fingering on you see that? Oh, amazing job. But it's because, yeah, look at that. You can't flipping heck. Useless camera. But basically, to put fingering pattern for the trumpet, you've got only 3 buttons, right? So the pattern, it takes a lot to. It's a non-intuitive pattern. So with other instruments, I found it's more intuitive. But this is I'm still trying to make the connection between the notes and the different patterns in here. So one of the exercises I have is to take the score from a lead sheet, say from the real book, and then get the fingering for every note down with a number system. And I've been trying to get that to work with Muse Score. And then I think I finally got it almost right, but it's out by 1 semitone, which is really annoying. Is that the one? Get these numbers in. But I have got a feeling that those numbers are all wrong. Well, actually, I know they're all wrong. I'm going to have to go through it all again. Anyway, never mind. We'll get there in the end. Hal, run nugget window. Hal, run nugget window. Hello, Hal. Wow, that's disappointing. What's gone wrong with Hal all of a sudden? It was working a few minutes ago. Hello, Hal. Hello, Hal.
Hello, Dino.
Flippin' heck. Hal, run nugget window.
Running nugget window server.
Yeah, well, thank you. Hal, open Thigh project.
Opening.
Alright, so let's get going with the stream. I suppose I need to open up my zillions of windows. Nugget terminal. CD Radeon tube. Let's start that one off. Radeon tube, and we're going to go and do the next one, which was loop video magenta MP4. Actually, while true, because sometimes it breaks, because everything breaks. I'm getting really annoyed with software that breaks. Everything breaks. Nothing ever. It's really annoying. So that should start the old streamer Rooney on. Oh, good night, it says. Then to get the thing to change in its buggy way, but another one in there. CD Radeon tube. I should get the messages to update. Alright, so the banner is working. Always important to have the banner working. And then I suppose it's also good for me to have another window when I want to send other commands in.
I'm a man with a mission. 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 man with a mission. I'm a man with a mission.
Yeah, one thing bothering me at the moment. Oh, by the way, I couldn't hear the music there. I had to go into the settings, and for the advanced audio settings, and I had to switch this off from monitor and output, and then switch it back to monitor and output, so that it actually started working. It's like, oh, but I've had a day of just dealing with, wow, it's a lifetime dealing with bugs. Hello, Bobby, how you doing? That reminds me of two people here. There's a perfect moment to get out the old Mapperoonie map fling. Until I've got some automated stuff for doing this that would also break down. So let's see, Manchester, we have Michael. There we are. And where are you, Bobby Rogers? It's one of those names, isn't it? Big thumbs up there. You tell me where you are, if indeed you exist. I don't want to ever make assumptions, you know. But you can give me your location. I can add you to the map. Properties. Configure video. I've been criticizing this right light thing, you know, and saying how right light, which often doesn't really work right, when you turn it off, it immediately makes the picture look really, really bad. Makes no effort to make the picture look good, so that it increases the perceived value of the right light facility. Ever since I started saying that, this has been happening. So right light now seems to sarcastically be wrong light. It's quite freaky, that, because it used to work better than this, but now for some reason right light has given up even trying to make it right when it's turned on. Oh, these computer things, they're so tricky. So I actually can't use right light at all. I would use it sometimes when lights was sort of more normal. But now I dissed it, and now it just doesn't work at all. It's amazing. All right, so let's see. Tail-F progress. So this is the output of the streaming. I wonder. Because what this should be doing is, all right, well, need to check the script I wrote, because I wrote a script that should wait until the banner is off the screen. It's really bugging me that it's not working. Wait for banner off. So if we go and do this cat progress, and it right, so we cat the progress and grep it out with a tail-1. This gets the last instance on the progress file, which is output by FFmpeg, and so this should 9 minutes 38 seconds. Oh, it doesn't reset. Then gradually it's going to get out of time, isn't it? If I take this whole command here, this bash command, why does that not? Here's another thing that really annoys me. There's a bug that's been around for 20 years plus. Look at that. It's gone. It happens with certain. How accurate do I want your location? It's just I can put a marker on the map, so just the city you're in, or even the area you're in, whatever you're comfortable revealing, because it's quite a big. Could be anywhere. I could always take a guess. Right, you know what? I'm taking a guess. Let's see how fast it is. Dino's going to play guess where the person's from, and I for some reason I wanted to put you in Birmingham. I have no idea why, but that's what came to mind. So you can tell me how close I am. Hey, Daniele, how you doing? Very good to see you. New name, along with Bobby. You're
Copied.
Quiet, Hal. I didn't say copy. I didn't tell you to copy anything. I said Bobby. So, Daniele, which part of Italy are you? I'm going to guess. Because I end up waiting for people to say, which is fine. But it's like, which part of Italy is Daniele Forenza? I want to put you halfway between Rome and Milan. I can move it afterwards, right? There. Daniele, mi dici dove lo devo mettere questa cosa? Excuse my Italian. And then my guess here was Bobby. There we go. Now, we'll see. I'll wait for the information to come. Oh, wait a minute. Bari, Puglia. Oh, I wasn't that far off then. Let's just check. Bari. In fact, if you're in Puglia, you're not too far away from where my family live. So let's have a look. Oh, no, I was way off. I thought Puglia was... I'm going to be getting it confused with a different place that sounds a bit like that. But actually, you're all the way over here. I couldn't have been further out. Further wrong. Bradford. Okay. All right. Thank you. So there's no need to be sorry. I mean, you know, it's just a bit of fun. Me trying to sort of guess where. I mean, I was. At least I got you sort of. Not in the south. I could have gone and picked somewhere right down in the south, couldn't I? I could have been worse. It could have been worse. Not by much, but yeah. Okay, so in fact, you're near Michael then. In effect, so I always have to check. I've been to Leeds once. It was a long time ago. I like the city. I like the people. I find that as you go further north, I find I like the people more. The more north I go, in general. Yeah, Bradford. There we go. Not a problem. I saw a little game. Oh, who's D here? We got somebody who's drowning in the middle of the Atlantic. And they just sunk. Okay. Very nice. So what was I just want to, before I get working on Fi again, I just want to fix my thing here. So I was just talking about this bug. I'm going to have to go fix it at some point, because it's a bug that nobody's fixed in so long. But for certain widths of the terminal, everything just gets screwed up. The sort of editing gets screwed up. Echo $S. So if I do that, it says 13, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and so on. So it's on a 30-second cycle. Okay, well that seems to work. So what's the problem? I know yesterday it just really didn't work right. So this should change the messages when they are off the screen. Like it should now say, tonight working on the Phi programming language. Here it comes. Tonight working on the Phi programming language. Like this. Most people still say hello to strangers. That's good. I like that. It's probably my best bet for rejoining, for living in Europe again, is to wait until Scotland leaves the United Kingdom and then rejoins Europe. And then I'll move up there. I like friendly people. I spent. Yeah, we're really weird, aren't we? And people don't talk to each other. But once I went up to Scotland to record at a recording studio near Ben Nevis. I never released the recordings, but they're being worked on to release them, redoing the singing and changing some stuff and so on. But anyway, that's not the point. The point is that I was about 7 years ago or something. I went up there and I travelled by train, and I was just in just a train. It was just a kind of like a commuter train. It was just a regular train. And I was just sitting in it and just absolutely amazed at how everybody was talking. It was like everybody was talking. It was the most wonderful thing ever. It's like human beings actually communicating. You'd never get that down south. Everybody in their trains. Nobody says anything to anybody. We've had it bashed into our skulls so much to be careful what we say that we don't even say hello to a stranger anymore. It's really sad. Hello. It seems to be working now. I think. It seems to be working. Alright. Well, we'll just let it run for a bit. Oh, wait a minute, it just changed. Why did that change? It is broken. It's really annoying. So what I'm going to do to fix that, because it really annoys me, so many broken things in the world, I don't want to add another broken thing to it, is wait for banner off. And I'm just going to edit the thing so that when that number comes through, right, I'm going to do two things. The first one is I'm going to echo $T, and, well, let's do it this way. $T and $S. So we'll go like that. Sì, mi piace Italia. Tanto. Mi piace anche a provare a parlare italiano. Il mio italiano non è tanto buono, è una cosa che... Guarda, nessuno... Non è un problema. Trovo che anche se non lo parlo tanto bene, non fa niente. Tranne con mia famiglia. But anyway, yes. No, I like Italy. I like it very much. It's I like also the Italian culture. You know, the way Italians are, they live with a bit of flair, which has some... It's not always good, but you can't really have, you know... I think you can't have one thing without another sometimes. You have to choose what's important. So living your life with a certain kind of freedom of expression, I think, is really good. And it's a beautiful country. Unfortunately, it's got some problems, as most countries do, and it's been hit very hard with the COVID thing, because the Italian economy was actually recovering. We'll have to see what happens now, but it was actually on the way up. And now, I don't know. You say it's very good. Apparently it isn't. You've got family in Scotland. It has some beautiful places, yes. Wishing you could speak Italian. Why? I wish you could. I wish I could speak Scottish. I don't know why it is. It's really weird, but the whole Celtic thing. I've always had a kind of a weird fascination for it. I love Irish music, for example. I love the countenance. There's something about, but there's a connection between Scotland and Italy. In fact, the region where my family in Italy are, which is Garfagnana, which is a mountainous region of Tuscany. Everybody thinks of Tuscany as having the rolling hills, but what you might not know is that in the north of Tuscany there's a region which is in the Apuan Alps, and on the other side of the Apuan Alps then you've got you leave Tuscany, and it's really beautiful, and I think more interesting than your regular Tuscany, where there's just rolling, rambling hills. But that region, and I don't know whether it's alone in this, but that particular region around Castelnuovo and Barca, where there's a yearly jazz festival in Barca. That region, there are a lot of Scottish people. And why, I'm not exactly sure. But there really are quite a lot of Scottish people there. And then very interestingly, my mother, she's got red hair. Well, she did. She doesn't anymore. It's more grey now. But the red hair thing is not that common in Italy. It's yeah. But it's an indicative, perhaps, of some connection from there. I've always, I tried to actually move to Dublin a few years ago. While I was still an independent game developer, before it just sort of had this dream of going and living in Dublin. Also for the music scene. But it was impossible. I didn't, it was impossible to find a place to live. The properties in Dublin, I don't know if it's any better now, but basically it was impossible. If you find somewhere to live in Dublin, forget it. So you have to live, well, actually, there was one possibility would be to live in Glasgow and commute to probably your best bet if you want to be close to Dublin and have a job is go working in Glasgow, and then you can hop on a ship and get into Dublin. Dublin's fair city. If I could live anywhere in the world, where would I live? If I could live anywhere in the world, I would live on Einstein's Island. You might not have heard of Einstein's Island. It's fictitious. But that would be, if you said anywhere, you didn't say it had to be a real place. Not Epstein's Island, you jeez. I didn't know you. I hate you. Albert Einstein's. Make sure I spell it right. I don't make any more mistakes. Albert Einstein Island. Jeez. I think I found it. How I wish that there existed an island for those who are wise and of goodwill. That is where I would be. Well, I like Yorkshire accents. I actually like the accents I like accents anyway. I love them. I love the different ways that people talk. They're really from any place, pretty much. And I have to watch it because then I just love them so much that I start doing them, and that can be perceived as rude. I can't hurt myself. I mean, who wouldn't want to try? I just I have to watch that. But yeah, it's sort of, well, I mean, I suppose I would like accents, given the fact that sort of am familiar with two languages. And the Italian language, it's so, yeah, va bene, okay, it's just say okay, we could just say okay, okay, cool, okay. The Italians have, yeah, va bene. Or if you want to go, let's go. The English, let's go. When they're going to say, let's go, let's go. Never too ebullient, the English with their let's go. It has to be a kind of a let's go, as that, well, I want to go, and I want you to want to go too, and we all want to go, but none of us are going to just be too committed to wanting to go, and just in case there's a possibility, we might impose ourselves upon the others. That's the English. In Italy, they have andiamo. Oh, that sounds great. Andiamo. Andiamo. How can you argue with that? And that means literally, let's go. It's nobody. There's no way you can say let's go in English in a way that comes out like andiamo. Andiamo. Ah, dear me. Sorry. Hey there, Garcia. How you doing? Have I ever thought of living in Italy? Yes. 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 A lot. I would love to live in Italy. However, I need to be able to work. So I did originally have a plan to move to Italy. Why didn't I move to Italy before? Because I would have had to have done military service. So military service kept me in this country, frankly, because if it hadn't have been for military service, when I was doing kickoff, I was still young. I had to wait till I was 27. So when I was doing kickoff, I could, when I was an independent game developer, I could have gone to Italy. And I could have been an independent game developer in Italy, and I could have lived my life in Italy. And I didn't go because if I went to Italy, I'd have had to have spent 2 years doing military service. They sort of cancelled that, but not before the age. And then I got married. But there we go. This the thing is not to this is not to sort of knock what happens or have any regrets, because who knows how things might have turned out. You just don't. But that's actually the reason why I never went back to Italy. Now I can go back to Italy, but I'm at the point where I need to have a job. And I'm no longer an independent game developer. So, interesting. Or not. I remember your game of soccer kickoff. I played very good. Oh well, I'm glad someone liked it. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Your English is your English is fine. I understand you. What is my favourite game that I didn't take a part in making? Descent 2. Hey Roberto, how you doing? So you are an Italian but living in sunny Wales. Are you near Port Merion by any chance? I'd love to go there to visit that at some point. Now, oh, hang on. I think the battery is dying on my mouse. It lasts a long time. This mouse, highly recommended. This is an Advent mouse. This mouse is a mouse that cost like £5. It's a really cheap mouse. It's a cheap wireless mouse. But you know what? It works. And the battery lasts for ages. and it hasn't broken down, and I've been using this mouse for 3 years now, and it costs next to nothing. So there you go. Better than Logitech. I need to get the map. Which part of Wales are you in? I'm living on borrowed time with this mouse. Ah, you're born in Bari. Okay. Well, you're the first person on the stream. Oh, Barry. You were born in Barry? So maybe you're born in Barry and you arrived in Barry. No, all right. Cardiff. There we go. So Cardiff for Roberto. Roberto. Yeah, and someone's drowning there. Let's get rid of that. Right. Well, there is a very good reason not to use a wireless mouse, and that is that sometimes they stutter, and you have. I just make sure that there is a clear line of sight between the mouse and the dongle. Dongle, by the way, is working in a hub, through a hub, so that's quite nice, because often the problem with hubs is things don't work properly. So yeah, amazing. And it's got actually side buttons as well. It's a 5-button mouse. There we are. So there we go. Sometimes you get more for paying less. What's wrong with my thing here? You see, in 26, I have a problem in my algorithm. I have a bug in my algorithm. God, am I actually going to do any work on the on the Phi programming language? Maybe. It's a mystery. We don't know if I will or not. You'll have to hang around. But first of all, I want to fix this thing. So what I was doing was take that 10% percent 30. It's a modulo. Well, that should work. Okay, a bit confused by that, because I can see on here it started spewing out multiple messages. Oh no, sometimes it spews out 2 messages. I think I just need to do a tweak actually, because it seemed right. I was using a modulo. So it checks every 5 seconds. Yeah, sometimes I can get 2 in there. Right. So let's do greater than 23. And I can still get 2 in there. Alright, well, this kind of programming in Bash is like, it's crazy. Less than 28. How's that? Let's see if this works better. Oh, Swansea. Sorry, I put you in Cardiff, didn't I? My apologies. Don't know why I did that. Where is Swansea? Oh, there it is. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just you're on a free trip to Swansea. Well, I mean, technically you were on a free trip to Cardiff, and I'm just taking you back now to where you were before. No. Hello, no. How many fingers do you have? I don't understand. Philosophy drop. Yeah. Well, if you want to ask me any philosophical questions, yeah, by all means, you might find that I end up on a half-hour rant. It's happened before. Thanks for tuning in. Hope to see you again. No. Oh, no. I see. Hello, no. Are you a real person? I mean, that name, it's creates some suspicion. We have a special thing that checks for whether a person is a troll or not. We're executing that one at the moment. We'll see what it says. Why are they known? Why are people from Swansea known to have 6 fingers? No shit. Yeah. I you are real. Well, that's good. That's encouraging. Why do people from Swansea? Why are they known to have 6 fingers? Kind of afraid to ask, really. But and where are you from? No. Are you? Tomorrow I'll tell you, it's Roberto's going to check tomorrow for some people from Swansea to count their fingers. But I just want to be clear. You've got to be clear with the language. So I don't know what kind of fingers are you talking about. You know, there could be fish fingers. You know. Yeah. You could go up to someone and say, how many fingers do you have? And they could say, I really don't know. We bought quite a lot a while ago, and they're in the freezer at the moment. And to be honest, it would be a bit of trouble to get out and count them. Is it important to you? You know, where are you from, No, with this inside information? And it might be you definitely have 5 fingers per hand. Yeah, well, I mean, you know, we could. You're from Cardiff. Okay, good. I had someone in Cardiff incorrectly. It's okay, Roberto, that you had fongers on there. The only issue is, you know, as we dwell on the word fongers, is the slight concern that it might actually mean something rude to someone. Fingers. Okay. Well, that's better. Well, it's not better, actually. I mean, you know, in a way I preferred the other word because it was more interesting than fingers. But you get the point. Cardiff. So, you know, it's like my life is just one of doing and undoing all the time. So I suppose I can put another one down here in Cardiff again. Hello. No. In Cardiff. Oh, I'm drowning someone else at sea now again. No. So I was going to say that, you know, people in Cardiff are not known for their good grammar. You can have a little rummage around there and think about that. What, Garcia? What's the problem? What's the issue? What was the problem? I thought we were all getting along. Everybody was happy. It was just a little party. We were talking about fishmongers. We were talking about, you know, Cardiff and Swansea, and you know, we were having a whale of a time. Oh, it's a joke between Cardiff and Swansea. So I see that there is actually a thing going on between these two. The South Wales Derby. Okay, I get you. I understand. I get the picture. Swansea Airport is in Cardiff. No. Cardiff's over here. Swansea Airport is quite away from Swansea. Does Cardiff have an airport? Yeah, Cardiff is very good in, you know, comparison of automotive vehicles. What's going on, Mike Garcia? Three minutes. We got this countdown. You support Inter, of course. That's a very wise thing to do when you're in the UK. No. He's. Oh, wait a minute. I know what's gone wrong. What's gone wrong is I haven't given Mike. In fact, I haven't followed protocol. Mike's here. He's in Australia. Oh, Garcia. Look. I'll play Garcia theme. Yeah, I don't think No is a troll. I really don't. And that, you know, that's a good, you can just bring the tensions down with a nice lullaby theme. And I haven't done any work on Phi. I suppose I should start. Because there was a suspicion that, forgive me, no, but the thing is that there's been some occurrences. Trolls have been known to visit this stream, but they have to tread very carefully now, you see. They don't have the courage to be quite as bold as they used to, it seems. or maybe they've all grown up and grown out of their activity. I don't know what it is. We don't see them so often, but they do sometimes. They sometimes just pop around, and there are the warning sign is a weird name, usually trying to get me to sort of say the name so that I say something risque. So yours is fairly mild. See you in a minute, Michael. Shall I get on with what I'm here to do? I'm here to change the face of computing. Yeah. I'm a man with a mission. No. I'm having some fun writing my own programming language, although it's not so much fun at the moment. It's a bit hard work. And my programming language is unlike any programming language. I've made that claim, and nobody's gone and said, yeah, you know what, you're all so full of it. They haven't actually said that yet, so I'm getting more bold in my statements about it. But what I was working on last night, I got very close to a piece of functionality that I've been working on for a few streams now, which is the language to be able to write rules. It's a rule-based language, and it can write rules into itself, which sounds very fancy, but the point of that is to be able to do the following. When I call the function makeCube, it needs to be able to create rules through a kind of template. So what basically is happening here is when I say make cube, I pass cube in. This at afterwards is this was Garcia's idea to actually do this cube at or at. Right, so cube at is make cube a reference to cube. This is actually the name of cube, if you will. So this takes what is passed in as a reference. So this creates a reference to cube. I have to look at that syntax a little bit. But anyway, it seems to work for now. So what's going on is that this, when you dereference it, yeah, I was just thinking that what's a bit weird is that it should possibly be, that is the bit that it might make more sense. But anyway, that's, I don't know, I'll have to review that. The point is that then it runs this code that's inside of makeCube, which is actually 3 rules, but substitutes at item with cube. So when this function begins, it's going to it's going to call make graphics cube, which will make a cube appear in this window. This is the viewer, and then it's going to position the cube as well, and then it adds a rule to the global rules. So add on begin means on begin we add, why I chose that way round, doesn't matter. Add on begin, it will add this rule, the rule being on change of any of the 3 coordinates of the cube, update its position. Hey Michael, welcome back. So it almost, well, it does actually do that, but the issue is it's not quite yet substituting. You know, this should, when I do this, it should be putting cube instead of at item here. Last thing I did last night was I made it so that these, which are the watches as I call them, they're effect triggers. This rule is executed when any in this list change. That part I believe is done, but now I need to do the same here because this at item I need to dereference that. And because there's some mess in this, I'm going to have to refactor once I've got this functionality working. That these are behaving in different ways. This is actually a list of variables, whereas this is an expression. The expression can have a list of expressions separated by commas. I have to go through the expression list, which is a reverse Polish notation. It's actually forward conditional reverse Polish notation, but that's another story. And basically I have to go through that stack, and the app will appear as an operator, and then this will appear as the thing that's being operated on. So the thing I have to remember, I'm just saying all this so I can recap also for my benefit. So what's going to have to happen is I need to write a routine that will go through the expression list, and where it sees a reference it needs to substitute and also remove the reference operator. And once that's done, then I should have a rule constructed, and this rule will look in this case like this, which is commented out at the moment. So what this is doing is saying when we begin this function, we will write a rule that will look like this because it was called with cube here. That's the story. Now, this is important because the moment I've got that, I believe I have a critical mass. I have, in principle, everything I need to be able to write any program in a sound way. This is almost, you can think of this as almost being like a class, right? If you're used to the horrible object-orientated world, you call a constructor. The constructor allocates memory for the data in your class, and then what it also has is code for operating on the class. The code for operating on the class is set at compile time, and then you can use a thing called polymorphism using a virtual table and all of that nonsense. I call it nonsense because it's really not a very good architecture language-wise, and I've come to that conclusion after decades of using it. But what you have is those rules. With polymorphism, you still have any of the code which could be executed is there at compile time, and you just changes a pointer under the hood to which one is being called. This is very different because the rule, this here, doesn't exist at compile time. There almost isn't a compile time with this thing, to be honest. I suppose there's a parse time, but when it's not really allocate memory, but when I create this object which is called cube, what do I do when I want to make sure that, in this case, update position, which is a native function, I'll update the position of the cube in the viewer, is always called when the position of the cube changes. And this is a test for a particular scenario that's very typical in your normal programming languages you're familiar with, where you want to make sure that something stays in sync. Like you might have a function move object, and that will change the coordinates of the object, and then because the object was changed, call the native function. So how would you set that up? If you had a kind of a polymorphic object orientated approach, you might sort of have it that it just changes the data, the position, and then there's an update function that sort of changes where it's seen, or things. But phi doesn't work this way because phi doesn't have a program counter. It doesn't have any control flow. It doesn't have any, it means nothing like loops. There's no if statement in the same way as the if statement of an imperative language, you know. What it has is rules. So in order to make sure that this object is always updated, that is, update position is called whenever it moves, we have to create a rule for it. So we create the object, which is just some data, right? And we create a rule that ensures that two things stay in sync. And because the Phi language works on the basis of change of state, triggers a change of state, it's very, very suited to solving that particular problem of making sure that things always stay in sync. Because when this is working, you will never have a situation, it will be impossible to have the kind of bug where you change this, you change the coordinates and it doesn't update the position, right? So basically in this case, if you compare it with like object orientated language, you know, traditional imperative object orientated language, there you create the object and it's registered maybe in a list, or there's things pointing to it to remember it, and so on, where the code's already there. In this case, you create it and you add the code for it at runtime, because the code is just sets of rules. So this add-on begin basically creates a template at the compile or parse time, which captures this, and this is a rule template, can be thought of. And unlike the templates of C++, you see, so the templates of C++ are interesting, but they only template the class. And this doesn't do anything like that. What it does do by the use of references is in effect do a kind of template on a variable. It's something you can do in C using the preprocessor, right? So whatever name I put in here, it literally comes into here and it literally writes out a rule that applies for something called cube. So if I create 200 cubes, there are going to be 200 rules after they're created. So that sounds like, whoa, well that means that you've got this mess of memory, you know, that generated, because I have an object that has a bunch of rules on how they operate, and every single one of these needs to have their own specific rules rather than sharing the rules. Well, I suppose it's possible under the hood later to come up with an optimization so that, you know, it doesn't literally copy them out, but has some kind of fancy sharing of the rules. But I suspect it may not be worth it, to be honest, because a rule is pretty lightweight. One of the consequences of the language is that you don't need very many rules to express something quite complicated, you know, as demonstrated with the square root function. The square root function example, which is on the YouTube channel for the Phi programming language, in the reveal video, which is a little while ago now. I will be doing more videos on there when I'm ready, probably when I've, you know, got this to work. I can show this formally on that channel. But essentially, the calculating a square root of a value using Newton's method is essentially one line. This other stuff here is sort of maintenance stuff. It's like, this is bureaucracy. I need to have specify the function, end the function, and then specify how I return the value, and then here there was an initial value. But the actual work that's done in calculating a square root here using Newton's method is expressed by one line. And it is iterative, it is a loop, but not in the normal sense. Every time G is changed, and it's first changed on this line, on line 87 there, right? When G is changed, it calculates a new value of G. But calculating a new value of G means that G changed. And so it says, oh, G changed, let's calculate a new G. And it'll keep doing that until G doesn't change anymore. When G doesn't change anymore, this function actually terminates because it's got nothing more to do. That is a brief summary of the whole thing. But the point here being is that literally you are different, one line. So I think it's quite compact, but this is yet to be seen, if that always remains the case. I'm going to just check the chat. When I was living in Italy, I really enjoyed playing many hours of Kickoff. Really great game at the time. Well, thank you, Roberto. Internet edict died with Usenet. What do you mean by that, Garcia? So where are we at? So what I'm going to have to do is just look at the code for the bit where I am, I was giving that background. The watch, as I called them, are watching these variables. There are 3 watches here in a row. When anything changes, any of these 3 changes, it triggers the action, which is, in this case, update position. So every rule consists of a list of watches and an action. The action can be a number of expressions separated by commas. So what I have to do now is work on the action. So on the add begin here, some horrible code, but I don't care at the moment, need to make it just work. I dereference the references of here next time. So this would dereference the references of the watches, and now I need to dereference references of the action. So for this I need to look at the expression list, and I need to create a new one. Of the rule, which is in the template. So if I take RT pointer RT to actions, this is actually just a list of expressions, and I suppose what I'm going to do is just go for it and go at auto. Really bugs me. I'm not sure why I need to put those 2 X's in there. It's new features of C++ that came majorly online in the last 10 years that I was using Unity and C#. So I need to look that up at some point. And that's to do with swap and move mechanisms, which are an attempt to allow programmers to specify more efficient ways of moving data around without having to copy memory. So I do know that, but why there are 2 ampersands specifically there, and why it's done in this particular case with the for loop, that I'm not sure. Okay, Michael, thanks for tuning in. Have a good night. It was good to see you. So, internet etiquette. Here's the thing, is the internet became an excuse for people to, they took it certain people took the internet as an excuse for not needing to be polite anymore. Which of course is a reaction to schools. You know, schools, they don't teach you to be polite. They bully you into politeness, which is another thing entirely. So that then people grow up, it's just a theory, I'm ranting now, but as people grow up with this distaste for politeness, which comes from institutionalized politeness bullying. If it was anything like when I was at school. Oh, it really makes no sense at all. You're supposed to be polite. Teachers were ruddy rude. They never treated me like... They treated me as they treated, you know, the students, as beings not worthy of politeness. So of course it just screws everybody's concept of politeness up. So I think probably what happened with the internet was it became a way of letting off steam in that area. Now people could say whatever they liked. There wouldn't be any repercussions. So they just became rude and nasty. Not everybody, but certain elements. It's got really bad. And it's okay, it will get better, because they'll get bored. So you create the outlet, and it lets out that frustration. And eventually it just gets boring. You know, and they move on. Thumbing people down for expressing opinions. You know, it's like... Or just for the way they look. This is bullying behaviour. You know, as the story was that you keep bringing... It's a human protocol, that's absolutely right. But what schools do is dehumanise. And I'm not going to... I don't think it is really any way that this can be denied. Whether you like it or not, the education system, intentional or not, it dehumanises children. Because they get put through a process. They have their freedom of their own time taken away from them. They are forced to dance a dance. It is not a surprise that most schools are constructed like prisons. Prison architects make very good school architects. And what it is, as I say, intentionally or not, it's a process of dehumanization. And why would we do that? I don't know. I could go into it. I could be cynical about it. But for whatever reason, that's what happens. And yeah, the internet, there's no, school's out. No teachers about. And even with adults, we still live with that legacy. It's not over the moment you leave. You're in school for 15 years or more. And the day you leave, you're 18 and you leave, and suddenly the world is your oyster. You're out. You're let out into the world and you're totally unprepared for it. And you're full of anxiety. I get anxiety in the summer. Why? Oh, because I hadn't studied for my exam. Because I hadn't done my homework. I had every year there would be the summer holiday, and students every year enter the summer break stressed out of their wits. And then you can't really enjoy the summer break. It's horrible. I would always feel that angry. I mean, I don't anymore, but now I'm in my mid-50s. It was a while ago now. It's 40 years ago now. How long does it take to recover from 15 years of institutionalization? It takes a while. And it's worse because of the fact that it happens over your more formative years. So when the internet happened, it was like party time. We can do whatever we like. No consequences. But my argument is that if schools focused a little bit more on, it's tricky how they would do that, but if schools focused on human things, you know, human things, we teach our children to be human, we'd have a better world, one where people wouldn't feel the need to bully. Okay, people feel the need to bully. They feel it's a need. It isn't that they want to. It's they have to. It's a need. Otherwise, they wouldn't do it. That's the crazy thing. I remember I was in an art class in school. This thing made my blood boil. I was like 12, something like that. Art class. The most depressing class. We all sit at the table. There we are. We're going to do art. You know what art is? Art is a playful activity. You don't do art. If you do art as a chore, it's a great way to knock the artist out of anyone. So this art class, we're sitting there. I have a blank sheet of paper. I can't draw. Well, actually, I can draw. In moments of inspiration, when I let my preconceptions go, I can take a piece of paper and I can sketch something, and it's much better than it should be. Because we can all draw, just in the same way as we can all talk, and we can all walk, and we can all sing, but we're convinced that it's hard. That's one of the other things a school does, is it teaches you things are hard. And then if you've been explained to you that things are hard, you can believe it. You start to believe things are hard, and then even easy things become hard. But for me, yeah, I was broken in terms of drawing. I couldn't. Something happened in my education, so I'm sitting there. What I need is inspiration. If I'm going to draw in an art class, I need inspiration. I'm sitting there, and this row of other students, we're all there, and there were students, you know, opposite me. I'm saying students, we're children, but, you know, students. It's like, can we remember they're students, like, not just children being babysitted so their parents can add to the economy, right? So I'm there, and it's like, we're supposed to draw. How do I get the inspiration to draw? How do I get into that headspace? How do I get into the headspace where I feel I can be creative, where there isn't any judgment, as we're all there looking for a way? I needed to relax a little bit. I've kind of since figured this out, because I'm a pretty creative person in the sense I'm always doing something, right? I mean, also things which are not scientific, or, you know, like music, improvisation. How do you improvise? I'm improvising now. How do I do it? Obviously I'm in a certain space, a space I'm comfortable in being in. I can rabbit on and on and on, talking nonsense. I'm doing a guitar solo. I let it flow out. That having something inside you, let it flow out. That is what art is about. That's what that class should be trying to teach. It doesn't happen with a whip. I needed to find some inspiration. What do I have? And this really left an impression with me, because I can remember the layout, where the table was. I can't remember the faces. It's just a stupid little thing. I can't do this. I take the pencil and I put it on there and I get just this feeling of anxiety. That's because I'm not doing art. I'm putting an implement on the paper and judging everything I do. Trying to understand how to draw. There's nothing to understand. It's just the same as like understand how I open my hand. That the art of art is to get yourself in a space where you are free to just do as you feel. I needed inspiration. What did I have? I couldn't get up. I couldn't walk around. I often find if I walk around, that helps me clear my head. I'm looking at a blank sheet of paper with a pencil in my hand. I can't move. What have I got? I could talk to someone. And so I tried to talk to a fellow student because I needed some inspiration. And the only thing I could think of doing was talking to somebody, which didn't come very easily to me. You know where this is heading. And immediately that I started to do that, the purpose of which was to get rid of this anxiety or try to get myself into a headspace where I could just be creative with my blank sheet of paper, the teacher came down on me like a ton of bricks for talking. I remember I was sitting there thinking, this is stupid. This is supposed to be creative. How can we be creative? We're all sat here like this and we can't even talk to each other. Are you nuts? That's the world. So, to cut a long story short, if you've got a bunch of people who went through an education system for 15 years and went through all of that, and suddenly you give them the tool for them to voice whatever they want, however crappy it is, doesn't matter. The quality is unimportant. They're going to run riot, and that's exactly what's happened. People are worried about online bullying at schools with children, online bullying, or just bullying in general. Very easy way to deal with it is to change the focus of the schools, so that instead of focusing on that very old-fashioned and quite crippling, you have to study and work and you have to do it and it's going to be a grind, is focus on allowing the children to enjoy their existence. First, most important thing, do that. Don't treat them like bloody prisoners. And then you'll find that you won't have a kind of prison mentality coming out. You probably go into a prison, they're pretty nasty places. And there's a hierarchy in there and there's a lot of bullying going on, by all accounts, It's like, so you've got people trapped. You're going to get this kind of nastiness. So easy. Just treat the children like human beings and teach them to treat each other like human beings. And if you are for example, a teacher in a class teaching children, how you can teaching children to be creative. Don't rule them with an iron fist. Not appropriate. There. Hit a nerve, that did. How did we get to that? We got to that. I don't know. Whatever, I'm going to check the chat now. Leopoldo. We have a lot of Italians tonight. Buonasera, Leopoldo. Now, it's quite a grand name that you've got. Yeah. Where are you from, Leopoldo? If you tell me where you are, I'm going to guess Italy, but you could say where. I can add you to the map. No sign of Zag yet. Meanwhile, meanwhile, my mouse died again. And, oh, no, it's alive again. We're going to get every little bit of juice out of this thing. So for auto and expression, what I'm going to do is go through the list of expressions in the list. An expression is a list of whatever. Expression items. List of expression items. I'm going to build a new list. I'm just going to check the definition of this a minute. Hang on here. Yeah, as I thought, it doesn't use. I'm not using pointers. I'm just using explicit things for now. Copying a lot of things because I really don't have an idea about the architecture that I need yet. I will when I do the refactoring. So a good tip here is, if you're ever building something like this, start off by just using pass by value. Don't try to be clever and hold pointers of things to things. Not at first. You can work on refactoring that afterwards, and you will understand how afterwards. And then when you do that, you get fewer bugs, which is why I'm doing it this way. So everything is, there's a vector of an expression list. There's a list of expression items, and I am just basically storing them by value. And this will make this easier, because then I can just sort of like copy it. Well, yeah, I can do I can copy the vector over. So I'm going to create a new one, because I need to. It's going to shrink this vector, because there are going to be references which disappear, the reference operators which disappear. So what I will do is create std vector expression item. And so this will be the new list, and I can go through these, and for each one of these I need to check to see if, well, let's use a switch, because then I can extend it if I haven't thought of something. We'll put a default in here first of all. Default with a break, and we do a case where the operator is going to be reference probably, or dereference. I don't know which one is it. I don't remember. We can go dereference. Yeah, it'll be, I think, dereference operator. We'll see. All right. And if it is dereference, then I'll need to deal with it. But just for now, okay, let's just put an error in there. Otherwise, I need to just do a copy. If it's one I'm not dealing with, I will just copy it over. So for that, I'll do new list, push back hex. And when I am finished with this, oh, I just push back the new list. That's really simple. So this should be testable. I'm going to try that. How run program. How next error. Should be x dot up. How run program. It's running, and then we got an assert on this line just here. Let's have I'll put a breakpoint there. How restart program. And then I can check my list has, in this case, 3, and these are reference to operators. No, that was the wrong list. I needed actions. Oh, wait a minute. I've screwed up there. Right. New actions. We push back the list. New actions. That's what we do. And we on there. And instead of new list, we hit the wrong thing. New actions, there we go. How rerun program. And let's check the actions. This is the execution stack. Update position, item, dereference. So that's correct. So when I see a dereference, what I now need to do is look at the value I have at the end of the stack, the item at the end of the stack, which would be the previous value actually. So and what do I want to do with that? I need to actually do a dereference of it. So let's do express item e equals new actions push, no, not push back, get the last element of new actions dot size -1. So this will get the previous one, which was whatever needed to be dereferenced. We set having got that, we set the current context, we get the value. This is doing the dereference. And then we want to push the new value in. That's it. And then I don't push the operator on, so it's automatically stripped off. So that should be it. Let's see, we'll do... I'll just put a breakpoint on here, and then I can test it. How restart program. Okay, cool. And we'll see what happens. We're going to put a thing in here. That operator is function args. Hal, please turn heater on.
Turning heater on.
Function args. So that just gets pushed through straight away. The next one was an identifier. That gets pushed through straight away. The next one is the dereference. So we take whatever the previous one was, which I can see was item. Well, that's fine. We make sure that the current context is set for this thing. We get the store value, the value of this item from the store, which is now returned cube. Haha! It's just on the dereference, and then it pushes that onto the new actions. So it got there, and at the end, what should I see? I need to move that guy a minute. What should I see? Let's get rid of this. We should see new actions there. The new expression stack is function args followed by not quite right. I have item cube. I didn't replace, I just added it. So what I actually need to do, let's do the following. Int last equals this, and then here last, and then new actions last into E, the last one. For this, instead of push back, last equal D. Alright, let's try that. How rerun program. How restart program. How restart program. How restart program. I think it's the heater. And so when you've done all of that, we can look at the thing, and it now is, the expression stack is now update position function args. Right, yes, as you have the function args, there is a literal identifier cube. The type is wrong. It should no longer be an illiteral identifier, it just needs to be an identifier. And then we have an update position. So what's the difference between a literal? Oh. Yeah, because I dereferenced a literal identifier. So what I'm gonna have to do, d dot op equal operator identifier. How restart program. How restart program. My chair squeaked. La 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 la. Cube identifier type integer. No, not type integer. Integer is 0. It's identifier. No, don't be silly. Right. So it's a identifier cube. So that has been done. All right. If I get rid of this and I hit continue, what's happening? I have a problem. I got an assert here. Cube pos z cannot be dereferenced as it is not a reference type. Who's trying to dereference it now? Uh-oh. How restart program. How continue program. So when I get this thing, the new actions are I think the problem was to do with the watches. Let's check the watch list. The new watch list, which is this guy. Yeah, these are all reference twos. So I needed to change the reference twos to an identifier as well. So that happens in this section. It's a bug in here. When I get the item from the store, I need to change its type to an identifier. So a d.op equals operator. Boom, 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 There we go. Hal, restart program. You're annoying me, Hal. Why aren't you working very well? Has something gone wrong? Are you looking at the right thing? Did you start up with the wrong microphone? No, it's the right one. That doesn't says it's the right one, doesn't mean it's actually using that one. Hello? Hal, restart program. Feeling a bit moody today. How continue program? Ah, it's still there. That's weird. I've got the same error again. Why did I get the same error again? Oh, right. I don't actually... Aha. I was doing it in the wrong place. The wrong thing. It's actually setting it up in x. It needs to x dot op equals that. Okay. I'll restart program. Okay, that's running. There are no errors. However, the cube is not moving. So I'll need to get some more debugging information up. Let's get, there is various log files generated. One of my favorite tools for examining log files at run, at runtime, sort of dynamically. Tail -F, capital F, then it can handle the file if it disappears and gets rewritten. And then I can just put in one of my log files. I don't know how people survive without this. It's such a useful thing. VM state, that one. I'll just stop this running because it's sort of updating. So in make cube we can see that we have a rule on frame count. This is the one here. Well, the watch, it's watching the right thing. Cube pos X, cube pos Y, cube pos Z. The action is to update the position. The rule is there. That's disappointing that it doesn't actually run. Okay, very close now, very, very close. What I'm going to do is comment out this line and put in, this is the hardwired one. So basically this add-on begin should be creating this rule. So when I create the rule manually, let's see what happens. I'll restart program. Now you can see the cube moves. You've been waiting, haven't you, to see the cube move. It sits there all there for hours and hours and hours. And eventually, sometimes it moves. It moved. I want it to move all the time. That's moving because I put in the rule by hand. But what I can do is look here and see what that looks like. Watch, null. I'm a bit confused. You see how it just says X? X pos cube. It's not the same, is it? It is not the same. I need to figure out that, but I need to take a break, so I'll do that. La 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 la. Back shortly. What happened? Why did it stop? Version failed. Boo! Let's try again.
Try the blues. And I don't mind if the rhythm ain't too strong. And I don't care if it goes on far too long. And I don't mind if you all turn your heads away in shame. I only want to sing the blues. I only want to sing the blues. Only want to sing the blues. I only want to sing. I only want to sing. I only want to sing the blues. And I don't mind if you don't want to stay with me tonight. And I don't care if it's wrong or if it's right. Just do anything that you've got to do. I only want to sing the blues. I only want to sing the blues.
Yeah, so it stopped again. So that's depressing. So that's something for me to figure out. Why did it fail? Technology, everything breaks down. Never mind. Okay, anyway, let's get on with this, where I was at. So I want to understand why it is that they look different. So when I'm looking at the change rule, there is only 2 change rules which are active. Actually, if I compare the 2 change rules, the other one was watch the frame count. Evaluate current watches. Execute dependent rules. If the rule type is a change rule, let's put a breakpoint there. How restart program. How restart program. So I'm going to execute the dependent rules. I need to get the current rules. I'm looking at the rule, the rule, the rule. This rule. Actually, it might be better if I look at where it dumps the state. This one. There's a rule to a string. Let's have a look at that. Go to the definition of rule to a string, and as it is looking at the watches, it takes each watch and it converts an expression list to a string. I'm going to put a breakpoint there and see what happens. An expression list to a string. Let's have a look at that when I go into it. Actually, let's take this off and go in and then just put a breakpoint on here, or maybe not. We'll step one line and put the breakpoint on here. Then the expression list that is being... This has 3 in it. Oh!
Hello Dino.
Hello, Hal.
Hello Dino.
Just use boost.
Boost boost boost.
See, what's weird is I have export... Oh, maybe I should have checked this before. It looks like there's a list. Expression list to string. I'm a bit confused here. Oh!
Hello Dino.
Quiet how? Oh. Quiet Aruni. La 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 la. I wish I could play the piano. Yeah, what looks like there is a list of watch indices, but each watch actually has a list. And it looks like the way I did it was I made it so that the path is not a string, but is in fact a series of expressions, each one of which is a part of the path. I'd already thought of that. Geez. Okay. So what this means is that the code that I did for the watches is not quite correct. Zag! We missed you. There were 7 people watching the stream at one point, then it went back down to 2. 7. Wow. Rocking away. I'm missing the guys from Vancouver/Seattle. We haven't seen them in a while. Kind of miss them too. I'm missing people. I'm not sure that's healthy. You know what? This had Fort Worth there, but there was this little O there which made it look like Fort Woohoo. Anyway, man, where are you? I can't remember. It's Texas, but where? Was it Dallas? Or was it Austin? Soon I'll receive my YouTube silver plate. Oh, you didn't say. Okay, well, I'm putting you halfway between Austin and Texas. Zag. Ah. So there we are. The current map. We had a few of the regulars. What happened to these weird and wonderful people? Or was it just in strange places like Madagascar? I suspect that might have been our troll. It may be a bit of an issue though. Because, you know, there's a kind of a blockage here at the moment, apparently. Anyway, Hal plays that theme. I think you're probably right there. So actually what I need to do when I said the text, I put the text in here. Is not actually correct. Eval rules. Get action index. Yeah, I need to examine this a bit better. Yeah, I did, didn't I? Because he wanted to post the link. and then I don't think he posted the link. If it was a troll and I made the troll a moderator, it would have just fried its brain, poor thing. If it was a troll, then believe me, I'm not calling the person a troll, but if they were a troll, then I'll insult them for being a troll. So I'm insulting the potential of the troll, but I apologise if they weren't a troll. How's that? Have we got everything covered? Are we all clear? Are you clear? If you are, then please fill me in, because I'm not clear at all. He posted a link to the Doors video. Right. I think I need to check the moderation. Manage moderators. That was Scott. No, but Scott wasn't a troll. But there we go. Troll. Expression list to string. Pretty sure it wasn't. Oh. Ah, yes. All right. Okay. Okay. Right. Let's switch this back over here. We moved off because I've got this in here. I'm going to do this here and run again and adjust the camera and adjust the camera again and adjust the camera some more. And it doesn't seem to make any difference. Maybe it's a bit better. Yeah, it's on this list, and we have a look in the list, and we can see that right. Ah. Yes, I've screwed that up a bit. Scott doesn't have a theme. I only made him a temporary mod to allow him to post his link. I have a problem. The problem is the way I constructed this was wrong. Well, I think I'm going to fix it properly because it's the easiest way to fix the issue. The problem is how I store paths in the template, rule template. Let's just do this. A little bit of a refactoring to fix this. If we go to the definition here, we can see that the watches are a list of expression items. What I actually need to do is make this an std vector of std vectors. It's going to create a bunch of errors. How compile program? Yes. Hal, next error. So it doesn't like that. You see, this is one of those cases where you just change the type and then you let the compiler lead you through it. So in this case, I'm assigning this to this, but in fact I need to make it an std vector. Vector.
I Captain.
I said vector. I didn't.
Compilation failure.
I need to disable that. I'm not really using it at the moment. Open your brain to me, Hal. No, it didn't. I did that manually. Let's have a look at your brain, Hal. Let's. Oh, wait a minute. The easier way is I can look at when it said. It thought I said make it so, Hal. And then we want to disable it. Okay. Done. There we are. Hal, next error. So what I get now is that when I am looking at the op and it's a reference to, then I need to dereference the first one as I'm doing here. But I need to do this from the list of I need to go through each of the watches, which I'm doing there with. I'm going to call it something better here because it gets confusing. The watch, and then within the watch for auto ampersand 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 auto ampersand ampersand. We are going to look at the expressions expr, which we take from watch, and with this we look at that and we see if it is a reference to, and if it is a reference to, then I guess we're going to take make ourselves a nice path. We're actually wrong. It's actually this the way it's going to be easy, because the expression operator, right, if it's a reference to, I don't think we use either of those anymore. And now I am creating an expression item on the basis of the path and don't need to do that either. If it's a reference to, we take the thing and we dereference it, which I've done here now. The one that I get back, which is the dereferenced one, I need to make sure d.op equals this operator identifier. I need to change the type of it to being an identifier. And then this is the bit that I'm a little bit, don't know if I can do that. It'll be interesting to see if the compiler allows it. Will the compiler allow it? Will the compiler allow it? We shall see. Because what I actually want to do is change the item I was pointing. No, I can't do that. Well, can I? Yeah. I need to put it back modified. You'll see. None of this, the rest of this is needed. Becomes simpler, but let's see if that compiles. Oh, data on the, its expression. What have we got now? How next error? How next error? Well, in this one, the state pushback list. I'm pushing back. I need to actually make a list of them. Yes. 4. And what I need to do is push back the watch, which that how compile program. How next error. Current rule template watches pushback E. Why don't you like this? Because I've changed the type. And this bit here, remember yesterday I did all this bit with the string mangling? I didn't really need that to do that. I already have an expression list. This was actually, I should have checked basically, and have seen that I'd already refactored something to allow for this. I thought ahead, so we don't need any of this here. Express com. Oh, I just need to push it. I think I'm pretty sure I can just do this. No. Much simpler. How compile program. Let's try this and see. How run program. So let's just run through this and check. I start off with this, and it goes to this. This expression is one of the expressions of the list. It's x. Not a problem. It's not a reference to. It's not a reference to. Oh, this one's a reference to. This, the expression was an item, which needs to be remapped to cube. Oh. Failure. What is the problem? Retry. There we go here, and we see a very interesting thing. It is that expression. Item. What did it fail on? Oh, over here. Access of a variable must begin with a valid expression item. Access of a variable must begin with a valid expression item. Line 527. Okay, right. 527. And because it's not an identifier. Okay, so let's go back to maybe here. Here, can go back to here? No, maybe here. What about here? Should I just pick things out at random? Oh, hang on. It was line 500. No. Right. Who called this? This is where I need to go. The item is a reference to. So yes, I need to change this to expression op equals operator identifier. I'll restart program. Okay, so we're going through all of this, and that was okay, and that one's okay, and it comes to this one, and it goes through until we get the store, and it doesn't crash this time. And what is the type? Literal identifier. We convert it to an identifier and we push it back. And I will see now whether I'm allowed to modify an entry that way, because we will see. It certainly seemed to allow it, so it's done it with all the elements of the thing. Let's just go to here. Put the breakpoint. I bet you it was about to go there anyway. Yeah. And if I look at this list, we can see that there are 3 watches. Oh, beautiful. That worked. Excellent. So I think that was really not so painful. I'll continue program. Yes! I've been, that movement there, that's it. That's it. Got there at last. That is the milestone achieved. Because, well, I'll confirm it, but it's like here, yeah, I don't have, this rule is not here. I can actually delete that now. It's not there. It is a rule added at runtime that caused the thing to actually work. So when it runs, the cube is moving. Oh, Zag, basically the trick is, what is the difference? Haha, you're going to come off. Yes. What is the difference between work and not work? I had this thought quite a while ago. That's like, what is work? Work is doing stuff. What is play? It's doing stuff. So the reason I can keep going, I can do a full day's work and then do a second day's work, is because there's no difference between work and play. Think about what do people mean by it? It's like I rest when I sleep, then I get up and I do stuff. And I keep doing stuff until I go to bed. What is this work? What is this play? What is the difference? Well, the difference is only one that you can logically have. Right? I mean, I like to play the piano. It's a pity I can't play it, but it actually doesn't matter, because the whole thing about playing a musical instrument is that you play. We don't work a musical instrument, we play a musical instrument. Although if you are a professional musician, I guess you play a musical instrument to work. Right, so a professional musician plays to work. What is the difference between work and play? I could go on, but shall I just put it this way to you, right? Or shall I just ask you, what is the difference between work and play to you? Open question. What is the difference? I'm going to wait for a possible answer to that question before continuing on this track. But the great thing here is this. Oh, hang on. Money. Is it? Money. Money's a horrible thing then. Money. Everybody wants money, but then money is really a nasty thing because it turns play into work. So it turns life from being something that is lived to something you have to grind through. Money, right on. It's a pity you don't have time to spend it. Money. What is money? Money is a symbol. A symbol of what? A symbol of what is the symbol of what you can do. What does money do? Money allows you to do things. Okay, so you do things. Did you do things when you work? What's the difference? We're not getting any. It's not getting any clearer. So you work. Working is doing stuff to get money, so that you have money, so that you can do stuff. That isn't work. But either way, you're doing stuff. Bit confusing, really. If you had to explain this to an alien, how would you explain it? So this is a big milestone, because I have actually had the first example of a program modifying itself to add a rule, and I believe that with that I can do anything. Like, that means that I actually got a prototype scripting language that could be used in a game engine. But what will happen now is that from this rather dry stuff of me working on the language, we get to the point where I can actually try experiments out and use this damn viewer. You know, I mean, I think the next thing to try will be to have two cubes moving at the same time. there's a stuttering that happens, or a flickering that happens when that cube moves, and I'm not surprised really, because it's not like I'm synchronizing stuff at the moment, but I'm not going to worry about that. That's something that is not on the critical path. So I'm not getting any reply. So what I'm going to do is put forward my view of the difference between work and play. Oh, hang on. I'm more talking about the physical ability. Even with only fun. But what do you do in the hours that you... That's the question then. What is it that you're doing in the hours that you're not doing something? But because you cannot do... What do you do in the hours that you're not doing? Because you've got to be doing something. Or you're sleeping. I was about to go, but I'm just into it. But I was about to go into it, but sleep. Well, that's fine. So, how many hours sleep? I think I have between 6 and 8. I sleep between 6 and 8 hours a night. I sleep more on the weekends. In general. Well, okay, walking, but walking is an activity. So I suppose it can be that, you know, you might get tired. People might get tired with too much mental activity, and then they need to go and do some physical activity. In which case, you know, you could say about the stamina of physical activity. Or mental activity. But in the end, if you're walking, you are actually doing something, aren't you? So, look, my view of the difference between... So I was just looking at the two cameras here. The difference between work and play is only that work is something that you feel you have to do, and play or leisure is something that you feel you do because you want to do it. But even that's confusing, because why would you do something you don't want to do? So if you work, why do you do the work if you don't want to do it? At a certain level, you do it because you do want to do it, because it brings you something. So what you're left with when you boil it all down to is just a question of attitude. You can turn work into play by just an attitude. Unless you're in a toxic environment, where very quickly that gets stamped on. But in that case, it's not the problem of work, it's the problem of a toxic environment. And you know, it's difficult to play in a toxic environment as much as it's difficult to work in a toxic environment. So yeah, it's a question of attitude. And you can just choose to look at it as though, you know, toxic environments to one side. You can just look at it that work is just a play. If you can turn work into play, work is something you do when you wish you were doing something else. That's really it, isn't it? So the way around that is that you can either do something else, or you can be happy with the decision that you've made to do what you are doing. And then you can do that fully. And funny thing is if you do that, things tend to go better. So, for example, if you're in a job that you don't particularly like, and then you're always feeling that every day that you go in, you're not going to do a particularly good job, in all probability. And it's also going to be very draining, because you're always going against the grain all the time, and then when you get home you're going to be tired, and then you're not going to want to do anything else, and so then you just crash out in front of the TV or whatever. Or on the other hand, if you choose to look at the work that you do in a positive way, and it is down to an attitude, then you can be more efficient. You can wear yourself out less. You find that you may actually need to work less. You can end up in the situation that when you get home you're not drained, and then you're less tired, because the thing that wears someone out more than anything is going against the grain. That's what's tiring. I used to find very tiring when I was teaching. I would enter a classroom, there'd be 40, 50, 60 people there, and it was incredibly tiring. Sometimes after a day of lectures, when I came home, I would just zombie out. I was just gone. I couldn't do anything else. And that's because I was very preoccupied with what students, how they reacted to what I did. So then it's just like an overload of information. I realise now, if I was to do the teaching thing again, I would do it completely differently. First of all, I wouldn't care what students felt. I mean, I would take constructive criticism, but I would not be analysing the faces of all the students to try and get a sense of how I was doing, because that's exhausting. I would just do it, and it's not like it made any difference anyway. So it's not, because continually analysing everything consciously is very tiring. The reality is that you don't need to do it consciously, you will do it subconsciously, and then you can just trust that you will develop and get better at it. And it'll be less tiring. So what is tiring is going against the grain. I don't know if that makes sense. You heard that. I heard something, but I don't think anybody's breaking in. I think somebody's making noise. Oh, that's interesting, actually. One sec. There is, it looks like some scaffolding has been put up nearby. Interesting. Maybe that noise was they were just putting up the scaffolding. Any other tips? Understand that boredom is a fear of doing. Fake it till you make it. Yeah, well, you can also... If you're not so attached to some kind of boxed up in a ribbon idea of how you can be happy, I think most people do this. I think I did it too. I don't anymore. I don't actually try to be happy. It's like trying to be happy is a great way of ending up miserable. It feels like for most people, happiness, the idea of happiness is something. It is sort of like a present all wrapped up with a ribbon. A boxed up version, a kind of consumerism version of happiness. Happiness in a box, you know? An idealized happiness. A menu item. Ah, monsieur, what would you like this evening? I think I'll have a bit of happiness, please. No, it's... This is wrong. Don't try to be happy. As soon as you try to be happy, you'll end up miserable. Happiness is more than things that you get or things that are done to you, although things that are done to you and whether or not you get certain things can affect your happiness, of course. This is a Zen thing. You should never take Zen things too literally. Happiness is a combination of the external and the internal. It is as much about how you interpret things as how much, how much you dance with the environment as much as how much the environment dances with you. It's an agreement. It is teamwork. It is a combination of what you have and how you look at it. And so when you only focus on what you have, time, talent, skill, patience, money, companionship, when you only focus on those things and their lack or their excess that is causing you a problem, you just make it worse. Much, much better to simply not try to make yourself happy. Just not be bothered by it. So I could be happier. Oh, that's the road to misery. I'm happy, but not completely happy. Yeah. Misery, misery, misery. Stop trying to be happy, and then you'll find that somehow you'll be happier. Because you've got that burden off your shoulders of you must be happy. Right? Oh, and then boredom is a fear of doing. Boredom, if you're not actually tired and you don't know what to do, and there's a ton of things that you could do and a ton of things that you'd be happy doing, you think, and you know from past experience the one you start, whatever it is, you'll enjoy it, but you're just sitting there vegetating and not doing them, and it isn't really because you're tired. could be because you're tired, in which case you're just tired, right? But it's difficult to tell sometimes. Are you really tired, or are you just afraid? So I really believe that boredom is a fear of doing. How can anybody be bored? We can distract ourselves to death these days. Bored? Really? You got your mobile phone? You can access any information that you want in a moment. You can fill your time with constructive things or unconstructive ones. There's no limit to what you can do. Oh, and you can order things. And you probably have money. Lots of people have money. I mean, I watch people who were colleagues and so on, and they were always living, it seems, paycheck to paycheck. What were they doing with all the excess money? Well, they must have been buying things with it. How can you be bored? I know sometimes people actually need to live paycheck to paycheck, but I'm talking about people for whom living paycheck to paycheck was probably not really a requirement. They should have been able to. I know one guy who just buy guitars all the time. So the point there is really, do we have any excuse for being bored? So, if people aren't doing things, when even they know that they could do them, they have the time to do them, or they could afford to do them, they would be happy to do them, but somehow they're just there twiddling their thumbs because they're just sort of bored, then it must be that they're afraid of doing. And I don't know if that is true for other people, but it's definitely true for me. It took me a long, long time to figure that out. Now I don't have that problem. I'm always doing something. And for a long time I was doing social media, and I spent a lot of time doing it. I hardly do any social media anymore. Very little. I'm always doing something else. My word. It's like, what shall I do now? I pick something. You want to play the flute, you play the violin, play the cello, play the bass, play guitar, play trumpet, build an electronic circuit, mandolin, work on a new song, work on an old song, take one of the songs we're working on in the studio and work with that, work on the Phi programming language, do a stream, work on the System 1. Oh, play a video game. I don't have much time for that. But hey, I don't let myself get bored anymore. No way. I'm not afraid. The interesting thing is like, well, why would people be afraid? It's because when you do things, it changes things. People are afraid of change. Like me, myself included. I try not to be now. Afraid of change. You work on something, you complete that thing, things have changed. Have you ever had trouble completing something? Well, the closer you get to completing it, the more there's going to be a change. You've been watching me over the last few streams. I've been working on Phi, and I've been getting to this point that we just got to, and as I was getting closer and closer to it, I was feeling more and more resistance. Now, when I'm working in a job, there's a motivator called it's a job, and I enjoy being paid to do it. I can also enjoy the job as well, but that extra motivator, people are depending on what I'm doing, is a great one for just pushing through whatever it is, and you just, you know. But even in the professional environment, people, this phenomenon exists. When I'm doing things by myself, there isn't that motivator. I still feel that pressure as you get closer to finishing something. So do this milestone, getting closer to finishing it, it feels like I'm slowing down, then suddenly I do it, then I enjoy it, I'm in the enjoyment phase of the fact I just made a little milestone. But that resistance comes from the fact that when I've succeeded in doing whatever I was trying to do, then things will be different. I will have a different milestone. I'll have different goals, different aims. Very true on big projects, video game projects, any project. When the project is finished, then things will change, and change is uncomfortable. And so it's very common to find that things get weird at about the time when there's going to be a change. It reminds me of something that happened not so long ago, that I won't say what it is. But the people concerned might want to consider this as a theory, if it was confusing. But look at when a weird thing happens in relation to milestones. It's well known that as you approach a big milestone, things can get very weird. Strange things happen. Almost like a fear of success. That's just another variation of the same thing. I'm going to check the chat now. When I'm talking on a monologue, I don't like to look at the chat too much because it throws me off. More with less is happy with less. More or less. Happiness is taking a flight to Brighton to watch Dino's gig. This will happen one day. Let's hold the faith in there. I mean, I'm not going to make the same mistakes that have happened before. You know. Tell you one thing though, the lockdown has obviously caused a problem with that, but it does mean that the music of the first album is going to be better than it would have been otherwise. But Garcia's trying to convince me to go on a retro gaming podcast. I've been hurt too much by people on social media that I don't want to do that. Those days are over. I think the one that really did that, as a very particular person, I was just thinking, who was the one that in the end tipped me over the edge on that? And it was Mr. Why does this game even exist? That journalist who was invited to the Kickoff Association 25th anniversary Kickoff World Cup, sponsored by my publisher, so in effect also by me, because we also wanted to use it, the sponsorship part. The reason for sponsorship is that you want publicity from it. So that journalist from Ars Technica, who posted that utterly horrible review, if you can dignify it with that word, of Kickoff Revival, in which he questioned why I even bothered to make the game, which, if you ask me, is a bit fascist. The audacity that I had to even make a video game, was a guest invited, with the help also of the PR guy, to that event and had lunch with us. And I blame him. Because that is the one that tipped me over the edge. In the sense of not wanting to ever have anything to do with any kind of that media thing ever again. Never. And it might not have set in immediately that happened, but as the task settles, all the other stuff that happened, but that's the one. That's the one I remember. Why does this game even exist? And so as a result, I cannot do it. I've had people come to me and say, oh, we want to do this thing and so on, and I'll say, sure, okay, and I can never remember. I never remember to do it. I never follow up. I feel bad about it because it's like, I just can't do it. You got some stranger, I don't trust them. That was terrible. But, you know, there are plenty of people in this world, and a lot of them are not very nice. It's true. Who do you trust? So I'm probably never going to do that ever again. Sorry, mate. I'm not going to go do that. I mean, I used to do things. There was a retro podcast. I used to make songs for it. I did a song for their 300th episode or whatever. I actually made a song and recorded a song and they put it on their show. So I used to be into that kind of thing. I contributed to one of those retro podcast thingies financially to keep it going. And then eventually they got bought by something and I didn't contribute anymore because they didn't really need it. Not going to do that again. Not now. You're looking at a scarred man. Yeah, Retro Man Cave. I haven't got anything bad to say about these people. I don't want to do it. Yeah. Dino should go on Joe Rogan's podcast. Oh, who's this? Talking about the Aftertouch IP. Aftertouch. What can I do? I can talk about Aftertouch. I can say the truth about Aftertouch. Why I called it Aftertouch. What the inspiration was. Where it came from. You know, whatever. And then there's just going to be a bunch of people who are just going to take that and treat it as though I'm some kind of huge ego. Oh my God, listen to him. The funny thing is the people who say that are the ones that have the really huge egos. Ego? A really huge ego? You can tell someone who's got a really huge ego because you'll never stop them from getting an opportunity to get publicity with anybody. They'll never change. They'll always be doing that. I was always doing those things as part of the plan of trying to get publicity for the video game, not because of an ego trip. I don't need to do that anymore because I'm not trying to sell anything. And if I'm not trying to sell anything, then I don't need to do that dance. So take that, you know. You can tell I get I'm cynical about all this. Who's going to be interested? You know, it's boring. It's boring stuff. All I can do is moan about things and go on about how, you know, it's because if we talk about it, it's like, tell me about your really terrible experiences that you've had in your life, but try to do it with a smile. Yeah. It's like nobody's interested. Nobody cares about it. I mean, you know. And that talk, even if I'm trying to be constructive about the video game industry, the only way to be constructive about the video game industry is to moan about it and say these are wrong. These are the things which are broken. These are the things which nobody's got any solutions. There's no, can't go and say, hey, we can solve it this way. No, you can't. Hey, computer, the screen went blank. Not that there's anything wrong with the debate. Love to see. I have no idea how I'll get on with Jonathan. I imagine I wouldn't get on with Jonathan Blow too well. Ooh, look at this. My Unreal project crashed. That's the viewer. It crashed. Oh, not only that, I can't actually close it. Hang on a minute. Why did it crash? The screen turned off. Come on. Unreal 4, end task. Yeah. How? Run Nugget window.
Running Nugget Windows server.
I don't know that I'll get on with him. But I could say that about anybody. Yeah. Why is my cameras all foggy now? Amazing, isn't it? Look at that. Foggy cams. This technology just keeps going wrong. Both of the cameras are foggy. Properties. Whatever. I'll stay foggy. I can't be bothered. I mean, don't talk to me about me and playing on stereo. I go. Yeah, it's amazing. First time in my life I've ever had borrowed a guitar that had a completely collapsed bridge, and then I had to play a solo on it, and I played the solo anyway. I regret doing that. I regret getting on stage with John Hare, because after that is when 2 weeks after it was announced that I was working on a football game, John Hare goes and works, here's my football game, and copies even some of the logo ideas. He was going around after that and calling himself the godfather of football games. You know what? If he wants to call himself the godfather of football games, go right ahead. I don't care anymore. In any case, it's pretty silly, because he was totally missing the point with the Godfather bit, that it was because of the Italian connection. It was a joke that somebody started. It's like to take that just when I heard that he was doing that, oh great, well, okay, let him, you know. I mean, he's certainly the godfather of something. Rant zapper. Well, what's a rant zapper? Don't empower the Twitter tweets. No, but Dino, the monologue you just had on Life XYZ would be great in a podcast instead of Mike recording you and putting it on his channel. Is that what you do? You record me and put it on your channel? I'm fading out. Look at that. The camera is becoming... What? I can't take this anymore. Configure video. Advanced settings. Let's try right light. Logitech right light. That's weird. Okay, whatever. Anyway, print science still. YouTubers are different. You would actually both talk about the same thing. Oh, right, hang on, yeah. Andrew Spencer is my godfather of international soccer. That's great. Everybody should have a godfather. I don't know why I said that. Maybe, I'm not sure that's actually a good idea. The general thing. But whatever. So, there we are. I don't know. Let's just see where we go with this. And there it is. The cube is moving. Look, the really exciting thing at this point is if I can have two moving cubes. So on frame count, well, we can start playing, because you see the thing I've got here is that the instruction to move the cube in X, Y, and Z, that really belongs in here as well. So what we can do is take this out from here and put it in here. So it's a bit like an update function, in kind of. Add, and I put the word add on there. Oh, I haven't got that implemented yet. I've got an add-on begin, but I haven't done an add-on change yet. But that would be the idea. And then when the thing is constructed, it also constructs that. So this is the next thing to work on. Then it doesn't parse. So I need to set that. So what's going on down the road here is I need to implement that whole mechanism that I did on begin. Needs to now be implemented on change, so that I can add a rule. Yeah, this is actually add on. Oh no, I can do it. I got this wrong. Hang on, it's add on begin. Because adding a rule on a change, that is pretty freaky. I don't even know if it's necessary, but it's add on begin. That's a sense. So add two rules. This adds the rule on change, frame count, blah blah blah. So this is on each frame change. We should move the cube. We'll see if this works. It might be that there's a problem with scoping on that frame count. I don't know. Oh look, it worked. It just worked. Look at that. It's so crazy. That worked. Did I say that worked? It worked. Oh wow. Well then I'm going to just go to town, because Now, what we can do is also say on begin. Now, I suppose I could eventually create this syntax, or I can list a whole bunch of things that happen on begin, but right now they're all listed individually. At item dot velocity dot x where's the x? I'll just hit x equal 10 0 at item dot vel y equals 0 0.0 at the moment at where's the at there, at item dot velocity dot z equals 0 0, and so let's just check that works. Yeah, nothing really happened. It's just that now when I make a cube, and to be clear, the program's only this right now. I clear the graphics and make a cube. Make cube is this function which just does a bunch of stuff. It doesn't actually run a program, it's just on the beginning of the... It's basically a list of things, actions, and added rules. And the actions are creating data. Item velocity x, item velocity y, item velocity z. So of course, when the frame count happens, a bit like an update, I can say on the frame count change was this hardwired. Well, I can just say cube. Oh, right. But yeah. Before I do that, I just realised something. I should probably change this to at item because I hardwired that. So let's just make sure that works. Oh yes, cool, that does. Oh, this is beginning to... So what I'll do now is modify the rule so that, of course, it's very verbose at the moment because I haven't got any sort of syntactic sugar. I wonder, can I construct this in like this? I probably can. I'll try it. At item velocity y. So instead of having a hardwired velocity, I can now have a programmable velocity. Well, of course, where I'm going with this is that then I'm going to construct two. I'm going to make two cubes. That's going to be exciting if that works. I mean, in theory, it should just work. X, there we go. X, Z, Y, X. Add on, begin on, change, frame count. Z, 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 Y, Y, Y. Pause, pause, fill, X, item, go. Let's try this. Should go in a different direction now if we're being well. Oh, it didn't like... Oh, because I put a semicolon. I don't need semicolons. And look, it works. It's going in that direction. Okay. Excellent. Now, how do I pass arguments in? Well, I can pass them into the function. So we're going to try passing in the velocity with 3 arguments. I'm going to call them x, y, z. Well, I'll call them x, y, z up there. But 10, 10. We'll just do that. Well, of course, I don't have those arguments on here yet, but I can just call them x, y, z. So do I support multiple arguments on a function? Well, we'll find out. I'm not sure that I do yet. Oh, Mike, don't start that. Oh, I'm a failure now. You say I'm a great inspiration to you, Mike. Well, I guess that's nice. I suppose that's why you watch. I don't know. You watch because you like it, and I think it's great that there's somebody interested. That's cool. But don't feel bad because so few people are interested in anything I fracking do. It's like feeling sad about a flower poking up in the crack in the pavement. Blade of grass poking up in the crack. You go, feel sorry for the blade of grass because it's all by itself. The blade of grass does not care. It really doesn't. Don't feel sorry. In fact, actually, if anything, it's like, oh, that's amazing. Blade of grass growing in concrete. No, I'm not being hard on myself. It's a question of perspective. Look at that story and you think, I'm being hard on myself. No, I'm not. I'm not being hard on myself at all. There's a part of me that looks at that story and gets a little bit edgy and goes, yeah. And I say to it, sod off. Because it's all a game. The whole thing. That's why I still got my thing over here. I haven't. That's another project I want to do, is to get this thing programmable over Wi-Fi. This, I love this little thing here. This is one of those badges, right? It's all, it just stays over there, and that's what it does. It's all a game. The only thing, what's the difference between a game and something serious? That's the way you look at it. Just like, what's the difference between work and play? All a game. If there were 1,000 people watching me right now, would that matter? Would it change what I'm doing? What's it to me? Does the blade of grass poking its little head up in the crack in the pavement care how many people saw it each day? It's doing its thing. I'm doing my thing. That is what is known as synchronicity. Right at that moment, not before, not after, right at that moment, just the perfect moment to have something happen. That was the theme tune for Mark, I believe. But I haven't seen Mark for a few days. But Hal thought, obviously, I'd said something else. It thought I said Hal play Mark theme, right? But that weird. That was freaky because it was perfectly timed, and so the AI of Hal decided that was the moment to think that I had asked for Mark's theme. So you know that Hal sometimes does that, but it's just weird. Where was the timing? Wasn't that weird timing? Right when I was giving the thing, talking about it's all a game, you see, because it is all a game. It comes back to the thing about seriousness and sincerity. Living life seriously is living life as something that has to be done, whereas living life whatever the opposite of seriously, playfully, let's put it that way, living life playfully but entirely sincerely, that has to be the way. Nobody's really interested in that message. It's funny because we're the whole way that I guess we're all programmed, you know, by our education, by the conventions of society. We're all supposed to treat life as being serious. But who wants to live life? Who wants life to be a serious matter? Because it's a point. It's this philosophy, you know. It should be a sincere matter, that we live sincerely, and that means sincerely living. If something is important, you could say it's important to be sincere. Right, it's important to be sincere. It comes back to that whole thing that I say about, you know, you can be sincere or insincere, serious or playful. And everything in life and the whole of society, everything in society is inevitably pushing towards the serious insincerity. You know, tell me I'm wrong. Everything, serious insincerity, which is the worst combination of that four. I argue the best one is the sincere playfulness. How I long for sincere playfulness. As opposed to insincere seriousness. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is hopefully this will work. I don't know. At some point I'm going to hit a limitation of what I've implemented of the language, because it's not like I've implemented everything. We'll see. It didn't like something. It tried, but it had a problem. Unhandled type. Float plus integer. Well, this actually came from the fact that right now everything is typed. I obviously should be able to add an integer to a float, but it's easier for me right now to turn those into floats. Because I just want to see if this works. Let's try that again. Oh, that's just incredible. This is so good. This is going so well. I can't believe it. I have supported multiple arguments. Alright. I can't remember what I've implemented at this point. A really big moment. Can I have more than one cube at the same time? This is huge. This is huge. Now, the way that would work is by... Well, we'll get there in a moment. I don't want it to go too far in one go. Can I change the name of the cube? Can I call this cube 1? Let's try this. Of course I can. See? Now this might become clear if you've been wondering, what the hell have you been doing? It's like, you call it whatever you like. Well, actually, I don't want to be making this complicated, but we'll just call this cube 1, and we'll call this one cube 2. Now the big moment here is I can make the second cube have a different direction. Let's try minus 10, minus 10, minus 10. And if this will be the first time I've had two objects running in phi. I'll need a drum roll. Hal used to be able to do drum rolls. Oh, I can feel. Here we go. Oh! Oh! That would have been amazing if that had worked. But something has broken. So... Oh, I've got something to fix then. I'm not going to be bored. I'm going to just try turning off. Oh, that's interesting. It didn't go in the opposite direction. How odd. There may be more than one thing going on here. Let's run the program without making any cube. Oh, pardon me. There is no cube. Let's try the first cube again, but I'm going to just change the direction. How restart program. Okay, that direction worked. Can I go backwards? Or maybe I haven't implemented negative numbers. I think that's probably it. How restart program. Okay, so negative numbers not implemented yet. Good to know. How restart program. Yeah, so the error that I've got, it's a debug assertion failed. Vector subscript out of range. retry. Let's have a look at the stack trace. It says evaluate begin. It happened on a tick. Okay, well, you know what? I think with that, which is actually a great step forward, very happy with that. Yeah, I didn't quite manage to get it to animate 2 cubes at the same time. But that's just some bug that I have to go and do, but I'm not going to debug that now. But the core idea is basically working. So that what we'll be able to do then is I've got this thing able to move according to a velocity. It then make it bounce around, you know, within a space, and once I've done that, I'll improve the basic concept, and then I can start looking at refactoring, and then adding some syntactic sugar. I sense that this is going to start accelerating quite a bit from now on, but probably a good thing for me to check this in, actually. Git. Oh. Ah. Jeez. There's gravity. Maybe I'll use source tree. Source tree. Fire is alive. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's alive. Look at this huge check-in here. First, I'm going to call it class-like demo. Let's stage all of that, commit that, push that. That's the wrong one. Push that. So then it's backed up. Yes. Okay. Lovely. Oh, I didn't save. Maybe I have to push it again. No, it's fine. It was only a small change, right? That's great. Thanks a lot for watching. I won't be back tomorrow. The next earliest time there'll be a stream will be Wednesday at this point. And there we go. And we'll finish with a little bit. Over time there'll be more different videos, obviously. But for now, we'll do this one. Take care, everybody. Good night. In the beginning was the Word. And the Word was God. I was walking along and right by the stream searching. I felt like a 2-year-old urchin, was thinking about the sun somewhere behind the clouds. and the trees, they all agreed with that chattering sound. I went for the stars, but I could not see any, nor the sky above, and nor eternity. There were no words to spoil or taint the scene. No black, no white, no grey, nothing to be. So tell me, did he really know what he was making? And does he already know the ending? If God had a river of his own, did he learn to let go? Let it carry him down to where he needed to go. Was there anyone looking after the place where he would be? Thereafter I want to know about God and the river. Makes no sense, there can be no pretense. If you look at us, we're all like little children playing in the playground, but not so nicely. If God is our parent, then where the hell is he or she? Tell me, did she really know what she was making? And does she already know the ending? Now, really, does she? Does she really know what she was making? And does she already know how this is ending? Thinking about God and the river. About God and the river now. Thinking about God and the river. About God and the river now. Thinking about God and the river. About God and the river now. Thinking about God and the river. About God and the river now. Thinking about God
When things don't work out, there ain't no need to shout. Just keep on humming, humming. When you're feeling small, hear the universe is cold. When there's trouble coming, just keep on humming. We're humming.